That's Odie Leigh riding high now that her debut album, Carrier Pigeon, has just been released. We found Odie at home in Detroit and asked her why she named her record after a message-bearing bird.
I always write songs about what's happening in my life as it happens.
Right.
And I was writing these songs about this person saying the things that I wish I could say to him in the moment.
Okay.
And I was at my friend's house, sitting in a rocking chair, staring at the fire, writing in my diary. And I was thinking about how all these songs I'm writing are just clear messages for these people. And I was like, well, I might as well just be putting letters in a bottle and throwing it into the ocean. Like, I might as well just like strap a note to a pigeon and just like let it fly away.
Right.
Because it will take so long for these people to finally hear what I have to say.
Yep.
And so that's how Carrier Pigeon was born, because I was like, oh, this is my Carrier Pigeon.
Gotcha.
This album is the thing that is delivering these messages.
Right. And it's much more poetic sounding than Mailman.
Yes. The Mailman. Absolutely.
Very cool. So you already had a body of work come out, even though this is your debut album, a couple of EPs and some singles, and had quite a bit of success with that. So how did that success and that work inform what we hear on Carrier Pigeon?
I have learned so much. I started this journey as a musician truly by accident. I never really planned to be a musician. I played a little bit of guitar lightly as a hobby. And the first EP was super bare, super stripped back, super simple, because that's all I knew how to do at the time.
Right.
I had just started writing songs, and I couldn't think far enough into the future to write a song that wasn't just guitar. So all of my early songs were very finger picky, using the bass notes and the high notes all in the guitar to like make this larger composition, because I didn't know a real bass player.
Right.
And so these last two EPs just kind of all came together and were different learning opportunities for me to reach where I am today with Carrier Pigeon, and which is a place of like feeling really confident and feeling like I know how to express what I want in the studio, and I know how to communicate, and also being unafraid of my own artistic vision.
Okay. All righty. So, and has fan reactions to your previous releases had any effect on how you approach what you're doing these days, your songwriting, your topics, whatever? Does what they say count?
Unfortunately not.
Okay, that's probably good.
Yeah, possibly to some people's sadness, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
To some people's disappointment.
Frustration, probably.
Yeah. Because if I was listening to them, I would have made another acoustic folk album.
Right.
Most of my past music has been sad, ethereal, acoustic folk songs. But what I've been doing, how I've gotten here in the first place, is just by making music that represents me and is like expressing a certain part of me, a certain feeling that I'm experiencing. And I'm not experiencing isolated sadness anymore.
That's always a plus. I think
it's fantastic for me. It's great for me. But if I was listening to exactly what people wanted, I would be trying to make crop circles over and over and over and over again.
Yep.
Which I will never do. Crop circles will never be made again. That song is done. And I move on. Life moves on. People change. And it's been really beautiful to see how people have connected with this project, even though it's so much different sonically than what I've done in the past.
Right. And speaking of sonics, you had a guy named Derek Ted help you out with that, co-producing. So what did he add to the mix?
Derek is such an incredible person to work with, simply because of the environment he makes. He, first of all, is an incredible engineer. He's a great mixer, but most importantly, we were just able to sit in the studio and try everything. Like, he is never annoyed. He's never frustrated. He's never like, no, we're not doing that. He's like, okay, let's try it. I will have the craziest idea and he'll be like, okay, let's go. Sure, let's go. Let's do it. And that ability to be so like free and experimental made a space where we were able to make these songs that we were both so proud of. Like, me and Derek and all of the extremely talented instrumentalists that we had come in, like, we would sit down together next to the drums and I'd be like, okay, play what you think. And then they'd play what they think. And then me and Derek would come in and be like, okay, do that again, but this time hit the kick drum twice there and don't hit the cymbal and do this and do that. And it was truly such a collaborative, incredible experience.
Sounds like fun.
It was great.
Yeah. So, just to elaborate on that, you have a track called Already on My Mind, which there's some like overlapping vocals. I think there's some horns in there.
Yes.
So what kind of discussions did you and Derek have about, say, making that track in particular that kind of gives us an idea about how you guys work together?
Ooh, that one was actually pretty easy for us. I kind of had a very distinct vision with it.
Right.
I knew that I wanted horns, and I knew that I wanted the verses and the choruses to kind of have different feelings.
Yep.
And using like those three things created a very clear concept for us to go on. So we had our friend Noah from the band Runner with 3 N's.
Of course.
Come in. Yeah, of course. Come in and record the trumpet. And what's so funny is that both of them were like, I don't know, like, you want trumpet on this? What do you mean you want trumpet on this? I was like, no, you have to trust me. You have to trust me. And they're like, what do you want? And of course, like, we all just work together in such a collaborative way, you know?
Cool.
But that was a really fun one to kind of flesh out because it was so big and joyous at the end, but yet pretty simple. I feel like we kept that track, like the song Either Way, had so many layers in the project. Like, the file for Either Way is so large and ridiculous. There's like 6 different guitars on it. Like, it sometimes they spiral and grow and grow and grow and grow and grow and end up being perfect. But somehow Already just always stayed really simple. It was very clear, and yeah.
All right. And following up on Already, there's a video for it. A, is that shot in your touring van? And B, since you've had film experience in the past, or I'm not sure exactly what, but you can talk about that. How involved are you in the visualization of your music?
How you're already always on my mind, and I know how you want me. Already always on your mind. Am I already always on your mind?
Really interesting because I do have a degree in filmmaking and I am very opinionated, but typically I'm very opinionated.
I got that.
I've typically treated music videos as like an exercise in trust where I do not backseat drive.
Okay.
I do not backseat drive anymore. Or I used to not backseat drive, but now I am backseat driving, and I feel good about that. It's really hard whenever you work with other artists who have very distinct visions, because I want to respect them and respect their art, but at the same time, I also have the right to speak up and say, actually, how about we do it this way? Or I think you missed a shot over there. Let's go redo that. But that video for Already was actually a super last minute thing. I just posted on my Instagram. I was like, hey, is there anyone in Detroit that has a camera? Like, I really need to film a music video. And this incredibly nice person named Tristan came over, and the two of us filmed that video, and we used my silly zebra striped tour van
Right.
and a ball of yarn. It was perfect.
Where's your Flaming Lips t-shirt? Are you wearing it today?
No, it's my favorite shirt. It's my favorite shirt. It's not even mine. It's actually my boyfriend's, but the way it's cut just fits me perfect. It's the most comfortable t-shirt, and he took it back, and I'm so upset. And I keep on trying to cut shirts to fit like that, because it's not even the shirt itself that I like so much. It's the way I love that shirt. I love that shirt.
And are you
a perfect shirt.
And are you a Flaming Lips fan?
I've listened to them. I've heard a few songs.
There you go. All right. Very good. Now, because we got started kind of abruptly, I messed up my opening question to you, which I remember what it was going to be now. It was about conversation starter and whether or not you have a conversation starter, since you have a song called Conversation Starter.
Ooh.
You're friends with the bands that I never thought I'd like. It's true. I wonder if in another life if we'd be good friends too. I touch myself and think of you. Always on my own, I obsess over romance. In college I was never good at dancing closer, flirting high. Just show me yours, I'll show you mine. I'm bad at starting conversations apart. I'll have my reservations. Do you really want me bad? Do you really want me bad?
So currently, when I'm on tour, my conversation starter is my tour van.
Right.
Because you pull up in that zebra striped, rusted out, crazy looking van.
Yeah.
And people start talking. I actually just got off of tour opening for Shaky Graves.
Right. Oh yeah.
And whenever you advance a show, you tell them what vehicle you're arriving in. So typically it would be like, hello, we will be arriving at 4 p.m. in a large black passenger van. But for us, it's we're arriving at 4 p.m. in a zebra striped Ford Econoline. And one of the or a couple of the venues, but one specifically emailed us back with a diagram, like a map of where we should park. And they photoshopped a zebra striped van where we should park.
Nice.
All of us had such a good laugh about that because it just makes people smile. It makes people ask questions. So my current conversation starter is my silly van.
Very cool. Very cool. And you have a song called Idiom. And it sounds like there's a woodwind instrument of some description being played there, but I couldn't figure out what it was because I'm not a musician myself. What's going on there?
So that is actually a clarinet.
Okay.
While I was recording this album, I was weirdly obsessed with the song Pure Imagination from the Willy Wonka movie.
Okay.
Always
I
so
just kept on listening to it and just being like, how on earth did anyone compose this? Like, how was this made? It's so interesting. The beginning of it specifically, like the way the way like the woodwind like arpeggios, I think that's the right word. I am barely a musician myself, so I don't really know.
It sounds good though.
Yeah, arpeggio, yeah. But like the way it falls is just like so interesting and so eerie. And I knew I wanted like a some clarinet on there. And a dear friend of mine, Kevin Atwater, was in LA with his clarinet. And so we brought him in and we were just like, go in the stew, freestyle, do
Right.
something crazy, do something crazy. And he did something crazy. And it sounds so good. And then we added the like arpeggio. It's got to be called arpeggio.
It's got
We
to be.
added
It is.
the.
It
It
absolutely
is
is.
now. It is. But like we added more on top, and it's just so beautiful and eerie and like spooky in a very reflective, gorgeous way that it was just so perfect. So
Nice.
perfect.
Hey,
Yeah.
now your lyrics are extremely literal, and there's a lot
Yes.
of them. So A, is there someone you look to take inspiration from when you're writing your lyrics? And B, how much time and effort do you spend? Are there pages of thrown out or files of thrown out attempts and rewritings and all that stuff? How do you go about doing it?
This is a ridiculous thing to say because it's such an annoying response, but most of the time it's the first things that come out of my mouth.
No, that makes perfect sense to me because I do some writing myself for reviews and things. And yep,
Mhm.
that's the way I write, is just like I wait as long as possible to the last, but then it all just kind of comes out. So
Yeah, I think that there's something very valuable in that, where just the first thing that comes off of your mind, if you just sit there and you think about it too much, it just kind of falls apart. You lose a little bit of the truth.
right.
At least I lose a little bit of the truth. And so I will sometimes I'll be like, there's a line right there that can be better, and I'll like switch out a word or like make it fit better somehow. But generally the first verse and the chorus are always the easiest part for me. Second verses, sometimes I have to sit there and be like, God, what do I need to say?
Right.
But because typically whatever it is I'm singing about, I get my message through in the first verse and the chorus.
Right.
I'm like, this is what I had to say. And then I'm like, dang, and now I have to finish the song.
Dang indeed.
Yeah. But the thing that I do sit and like have to think about sometimes and kind of look around for inspiration is song structure.
Okay.
And I think with this album, I'm really proud of what I was able to do with making songs that are more traditionally listenable.
Okay.
I feel like I have a pretty solid mix of interesting, kind of weird structured songs like Idiom and Like Either Way. But I I really wanted to think a little bit more with these songs and like try a little bit harder with this album. And so I would be like, let's try a pre-chorus.
Right.
Like, okay, let's see what happens there. So that is something that I did think a lot about, where because I would be listening to songs just out in the world, and I'd be like, okay, that's really nice. This structure is really nice. And I don't think that structure necessarily has to be um, restrictive. I think that it is a beautiful tool to like expand a song, and I had a lot of fun with that.
Cool. 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 All righty. And so the album came out, was it last Friday? So what was that like for you? What'd you do? Anything exciting?
I live a boring
Oh,
life.
come on. I can't believe that.
No, I'm living in this city where I don't really know anyone.
Right.
So what did I do on Friday? I tried really hard to make friends. I'm in the part of my life where anytime I see something advertised, I go to it.
Right.
So I ended up at like a knitting circle, crochet fiber arts group
Okay.
on Friday. So it's so silly because I was like, because it's supposed to be a big deal, and everyone was texting me like, congratulations, great work, go celebrate today. Like you deserve it. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go to this place I've never been and like go talk to strangers who don't know me at all and know nothing about me, and just go into the nothingness like it never happened.
Right. Is there kind of a dual personality thing going on with you in that respect?
A little bit of Hannah Montana,
Okay.
uh, but it's in a way that's very embarrassing because like I'll be at a place and I'll like start to make friends and they'll be like, oh my God, let me get your Instagram. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, here's my Instagram. And they're like, oh, wow, that's so cool. Or like I'll be talking to someone, I'm like, hey, like they're like, oh, what do you do? I'm like, oh, I'm a musician. And they'll be like, okay, but what do you really do?
Yeah, right. Because nobody makes money
I'm like-
doing that.
And I'm like, no, I'm like kind of doing well. Like it's so embarrassing. It's
Right.
so embarrassing. Yeah.
And are you taking the show on the road? Are you going to tour? Or are you doing shows? Do you have a band?
Yes. So I actually have this huge tour coming up in September through December.
Okay.
And I have put together an incredible band of amazing girl rockers. So it's me and my awesome girl band and my awesome girl crew in my zebra striped van traveling across the country. And everyone is so talented and we are all so excited.
Is that similar band members do we see in the video for My Name on a T-shirt? The live?
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
Yes, that's everyone that will be on the road with me. They're all so great and so talented. And yeah, we're very excited.
Yay. Okay. Well, hopefully you can make it down to this part of the world one day. I'm assuming you haven't been here yet.
I have not toured out there. I would love to. I would love to. So New Zealand, please listen to my music more so that I can go to New Zealand.
If you enjoyed this episode of the 13th Floor's Music Talk series, please be sure to subscribe to the website or to the YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook or Instagram and wherever you find your podcasts. There's a whole lot more to discover.